Hey there, welcome to WTMK Live, your holistic health and unconventional foodie destination. Do you love chicken noodle soup? I know I sure do. And I don't know too many people that don't love chicken noodle soup. And, we've all heard that chicken noodle soup when you're not feeling well is what you should be eating. Well, that's kind of true, but kind of not true. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But today's recipe is going to be a healthy chicken noodle alternative that is guilt-free. You can make it and eat it anytime you like. So if you love soup and you love chicken noodle soup, then you need to be on this video, and you also need to share it out to your friends who also love chicken noodle soup. So please make sure you say hello as you're hopping on. If we have not yet met, my name is Colette Wydeck. I am a certified integrative nutrition health coach, and I'm super passionate about helping women who are struggling to lower their cholesterol, get their blood sugars under control, and release the weight. So let's get started, shall we? Oh, let me just say first, hey, hello. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Jeanette. Welcome in. Oh, and if you share this video out, make sure you put shared in the comments so I can give you a special shout out, because I love the love. And I would also appreciate on any of the, little hearts and thumbs up and stuff as we go along. So let me just get my pot back on the stove here. I did a little bit of pre-show prep. But I wanted to show you something that's a little bit important, and that is what I did earlier is, if you look here in my pot, you'll see all this good brown stuff in there. What I did was I pre-cooked my chicken a little bit, and that brown stuff in the bottom, you want to make sure you leave that there, because that is all the crispy goodness from the chicken. So we're gonna leave that in. I'm gonna let my pot warm up a little bit. So, oh, awesome! Thank you so much, Jeanette. And yes, soup is a really good thing to help with controlling your blood sugar. However, soup has a little bit of a bad rep, or I shouldn't say a bad rep. It should have a bad rep. Because if you go to the grocery store and you pick up a can of soup on the aisle and you look at the ingredients and you look at the nutrition label, what you're going to find is that usually it is loaded with sodium. So that's not very heart healthy, and it's not very healthy, period, to have a lot of sodium in your diet. So that's one of the problems with soup. The other problem is that it's also loaded with all kinds of preservatives and all that kind of stuff. And it's just not necessary to have all that in our life, because soup is so super simple to make. So let's get started. My oil is bubbling away here a little bit, and you can see right here, there's my chicken that I pre-browned. So let me know if you can see my pot there pretty good, hopefully. So here I've got one medium onion that I've diced up, and you can hear that nice little sizzle going in there. And this is 3 stalks of celery, and this is 2 carrots that I've got all chopped up there. And I'm going to add just a little bit of kosher salt here. And I'm going to put in some nice fresh ground black pepper. And something else I'm going to add here is I'm going to add a few red pepper flakes just to give it a little bit of a kick. And we're going to, and in the bottom of my pan here, I also put in about a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And I don't know if you can see this, but you can see now that I have these vegetables in here, I'm able to scrape those yummy bits of the chicken right off of the bottom. And those are going to be all in the soup, and they're going to give really delish flavor. So we're just going to let this cook just a little bit here. until the onion gets soft and nice and translucent, and then we're going to add in some of our other things. So let's talk for a second about chicken noodle soup. So chicken noodle soup, the biggest problem with the chicken noodle soup is that you buy at the grocery store is A, there's not much chicken in it, so there's not much in the way of protein, and B, it's got noodles, and noodles are lots of carbohydrates, right? And noodles are not carbohydrates that your body can tolerate very well as far as keeping your blood sugar low. So noodles, because they are very high in simple carbohydrates, they make your blood sugar spike really fast. So the way to stop that from happening is to replace the noodles with something else. And today, we're going to replace the noodles with beans. Now, you say, well, beans are carbohydrates too, and they make your blood sugar spike too. Au contraire. So here's what happens with beans. Because beans are a complex carbohydrate, they are loaded with fiber, they actually slow down your digestion so that the release and the conversion from carbohydrate into sugar happens at a much slower rate, and it happens over a much longer period of time. So what happens is you don't have all of those blood sugar spikes, number one. Number two, you have long-lasting energy. Number three, they help you lose weight because the fiber in the beans helps to make you feel full faster, so you eat less. So it's all good. Plus, the fiber in the beans also helps to get rid of all of the excess fat and toxins and all kinds of yuckies that's in your digestive system, so that you actually absorb the nutrients that you're eating even better. Hey, Sue. Hey, Ann. Hi, Wanda. My goodness. Hey, Monty. So many people in here. So let's take a look now here again at, ooh, that's looking pretty good. So, and I have another little teaching moment. The soup recipe that I'm making today is white bean and kale. And the white beans that I actually created the recipe using are cannellini beans. But guess what? I thought I had some. I didn't. So these are just small white beans that I had in a can. Obviously, I buy ones that are no sodium, so no salt added, because here again, beans are another thing that have really high sodium in them. So you always want to make sure that you buy ones that are no salt added or low sodium. All right, that's looking so delish right now. So we're going to add back in this chicken. And you can see here what I'm talking about with chicken? Look at the size of the pieces of the chicken here. That doesn't look like what you get in a can, right? But how much better is it to have chicken that looks like that in your bowl? Yum! Oh, and I'm going to put in here, I've got 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to let them cook here for a minute before I add in some of the other stuff. And it is smelling so good in my kitchen right now. So let's talk about why make your own soup. Well, first of all, this is only, I think, this is like only a 5 or 6 quart Dutch oven that I have here. And you could actually, and this is going to make about 6 servings. You could actually make your soup in a gigantic cauldron size. And why do I say that? Well, because soup freezes super well. So what I like to do is, when my Richie was working, that was his favorite thing, was to take a thermos full of soup and and a sandwich for his dinner every night because he worked third shift. So, you know, especially in fall and winter, it gets chilly at night. So he always loved having soup. So that's what I did. I made him soups. So here's the thing. I kind of cheated a little bit. And here, I'm going to add in here a can of diced tomatoes. Here again, they are no salt added because the amount of salt that they put in tomatoes, diced tomatoes, is staggering. The sodium on this can is 20 milligrams because it's, as you can see, no salt added. Where am I here? See, no salt added. If you just got regular, it's like 230 milligrams of sodium. That's crazy, crazy huge difference. So we're just going to give this a little bit of a mix up here. Get all this. And you can see that there's lots of stuff in here. When I make soup, it usually turns out so super thick that I love Rachel Ray's, what she calls her soup. She calls it stoop. And that's like a cross between soup and stew because it's too thick for soup and too thin for stew. So that's why I say, yep, that's me. I always make stew because I just can't stand to put just a little bit of stuff in. I got to put a whole bunch of stuff. But that's good because what happens is it makes the soup nice and hearty. So, and over here on my, here, let me show you. You can see here I've got some nice fresh kale that I just stripped off of the stalks. And we're going to give it a little chop here before we put it in the pan. Oh my goodness, my kitchen smells amazing. Whoever comes up with smell-o-vision is going to be like a gajillionaire because everybody's going to want to have smell-o-vision. All right, that looks pretty good. So we're going to just take this kale and we're going to stick this in our pot. And oh my goodness, look at this. How yum does that look? So now we're going to add in, I've got homemade chicken stock here. But once again, if you're going to buy chicken stock, make sure that you get the no salt added. There's a brand, it's called Kitchen Basics, I think, that has no sodium one, and it's actually really good. That's what I usually buy if I don't have any homemade. So I'm putting in 1 quart of chicken stock and 1 quart of water. And you can see how delicious this soup is going to be. Like, oh my word. My Richie is out today. He took his beau for a walk. And when he gets home this evening, he's going to be tired and probably a little chilly from being out all day. And this soup is going to hit the spot. How delicious does that look? Let me see if I can, oh, I have one more thing I'm going to add. And this is my secret ingredient. Yes, stoop is a great word. Yeah, good for you, Sue. Stoop is the only way to go as far as I'm, stoop is the way to go as far as I'm concerned. So here's my secret ingredient. Whenever you're using dark greens, and of course kale is a dark green, the secret to making those dark greens taste super yummy is this. Let me show you. Instead of all a bunch of pieces here, get a big one. Right there. Nutmeg. nutmeg brings out the flavor of the dark greens like nobody's business, and you don't need a lot. You just need a little tiny bit, and you can see I just put a little tiny bit in there, and we're going to let that simmer in. Now, I only put in a little bit of cumin, a little bit of basil, and some salt and pepper in this soup. Now, you could actually absolutely go crazy with whatever flavors you like. You could totally make this like chicken fajita soup, and the recipe, I have a recipe for chicken fajita soup on my website. You could make this, so you could make this Southwest flavor. You could turn this into Indian flavors. You could put whatever spices you love in here and turn it into whatever flavor you like. I just kept it very basic chicken soup. But you could go absolutely crazy. Very good, Sue. I'm glad I inspired you. That's wonderful. So now it's pretty much ready to go. I'm just going to let it simmer on the stove for 30 or 40 minutes, and when my Richie gets home this evening, it'll be all ready to go. So here's how you can turn one day of making soup into days or weeks of good eating. This is what I used to do for my Richie. Like I said, he used to love to take soup. Well, you don't want to have the same soup every single night for days and days and days. So what I did was 1 week I would make one soup, like a different soup every day for like 4 or 5 days. So actually, I guess I did like for 5 days, every day I would make a different soup. And I would give him one serving, and I would package all of the rest of them up in dishes, and I would freeze them. And then after 1 week, I would have like a month and a half worth of food. I didn't have to cook again. Love that. So that's how you can get, and I made all of it right here in this 5-quart pot. So this, like I said, this pot will make about 6 servings, the 5-quart pot that I've got going on here. And if it's just you, it's okay if you're making a big gigantic pot of soup. Don't think, oh my goodness, I can't make this gigantic pot of soup because it will spoil. No, it will not spoil. Put it in some plastic dishes. Hold on 1 second, I'll show you what I used. I just got these, at the grocery store. And this is like 2 cups of soup. This is a serving size right here. And I would fill up 5 or 6 of these with his what he had going on in his thermos. And guess what? They went right in the freezer, and he had weeks worth of a different meal every single night, so he didn't get bored with the same things, and I didn't have to cook. How awesome is that? So you can do it that way by making your pot of soup and then divvying it up and freezing it already cooked, so all you have to do is heat it up. Or you could make everything like this, get all your vegetables chopped, chop your meat and all that kind of stuff, stick that in a Ziploc bag and put that in the freezer. You can put in your spices and everything so that as it's freezing, the meat will start to absorb the spices that you put in there. So if you want chicken fajita soup, you just put all your vegetables and the chicken and all that kind of stuff right in there, and you're good to go. Put it in the freezer. Take it out of the freezer. All you have to do is let it defrost, brown it up in your pot there a little bit, and you can have your soup pretty much right away. Or you could even put all of this stuff, instead of cooking it on the stove, dump it all in a crock pot and let it go all day, and you have a big pot of delicious homemade soup when you get home from work, and then you can divvy up the leftovers, or you'll have plenty of food for the whole family. So that's what I love Yes, you can absolutely do that, Jeanette. In fact, a couple of years ago, when Richie went away for a couple of months on a hunting trip, that's exactly what I did. I spent like 2 weeks before he left, and I made all kinds of meals for him. Most of them soup and stew and chili, all kinds of stuff. And it's exactly what I did. I put all the stuff in my little containers, froze them all, and he took them with him, had them in the refrigerator freezer, and he was able to take one out every day, and he had something, you know, fresh homemade every single day that all he had to do was heat it up. So by just spending one day, you have meals for days or weeks, depending on how you want to look at it. So I hope that you guys got some great value from today's show. And let me just tell you, this soup smells so good. I'm just, can't wait till it's ready to eat. So I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Hope you have a great weekend planned. And I will see you right back here next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, here's to your health. Bye-bye.